Good afternoon and most welcome to 1994. We will continue where we left off in 1993. Comparison between comets made by Allan Emrén about the foundations of quantum mechanics in comparison to Chiara Marletto's The Science of Can and Can't. And I'm continuing where we left off, and now I'm coming into the very zest of it, the kernel. Do remember the introduction with a visit to Sentosa Bridge. Suppose that you were standing on the Sentosa Bridge's viewing point at night, and you had the task to communicate with an approaching boat using a lamp. The lamp is green, say, and it can be switched on or off. And the code of communication is that if the lamp is on, then the boat can proceed. If it's off, then the boat should stop. Now imagine the color of the lamp changed. Clearly, that would not modify its ability to convey the signal. Nor would changing its shape or similar other properties of its state. But suppose now you modified some of its functionalities. For instance, suppose that once you switch the lamp on, it could no longer be switched off. will this lamp work as a signal? Clearly no. Given that it cannot be in any other state, it is useless for signaling one of two alternatives. It has only one state available. My comment here is, it is no longer contradictory. It cannot show up contrafactual properties. It is exactly as a dead cat or a live cat, but no longer both or either. Now imagine you wrap the lamp in a completely opaque covering. Which does not allow the light to come through and to be seen at a distance. With this modification, the lamp would not be able to signal either. Because it could not be seen from the approaching boat. This is similar to gluing the box of the cat so it can never be opened again. This example offers a lesson you can then generalize. The fact that the light, when it's on, carries information is due to the fact that it could be set to a different value off. Incredibly important, and I'll repeat it. This example offers a lesson you can then generalize. The fact the light, when it's on, carries information is due to the fact that it could be set to a different value off. And that the difference between on and off can be perceived by the approaching boat. Both of these properties of the lamp are counterfactuals. My comment, they are exclusive to one another, and that very exclusivity is what information is. Abstracting from the example, you can assume or perceive a general fundamental regularity in nature. Any system containing information must have these two properties. Pause there, I think we reached 20 minutes. So what we come to understand lies in the very foundation of quantum physics and reality as such. It could be summed so far: only contradictory states, things, facts, you can add any circumstance or relation, can carry information, knowledge, understanding. This is similar to how words that simultaneously carries two opposing meanings, like polysemia, are the only words that can have meaning and can be understood. A singular meaning makes understanding, knowledge impossible. It doesn't carry contradiction, and thereby it doesn't have the potential for exclusiveness. This is also close to the Heideggerian aletheia and theia, the uncovering and the covering. It is in this opposing movement that truth and Sein becomes possible. From a perspective of the Newtonian paradigm and the present state of neo-academia, this is absolutely shocking. One meaning is the illusion that infests the Newtonian paradigm. Without it even being part of the verbalized, clarified ideology. It's untaught, only perceptively assumed, and thereby the foundation of the present paradigm is not even part of the understanding. This, I would say, is why that classical limited take makes knowing understanding very hard to come by. It is similar to a lamp for the boat that has only one value, and that would lead to that the boat crashes into the bridge. Maybe there's a comment from my dear colleague here. I'll help you with this one.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you, Hans, come here and zoom in this nice painting?
Of course.
And show the boat. Let us now imagine that we are in Singapore. There's a boat coming towards our lab. And let's now walk in that direction. We are in Singapore, and there's a boat coming. We are on the bridge. We are on the bridge, and we will turn on the light. Here is my land. This is on the bridge that Chiara Marletto mentions. So this is on, of course, and this is off. And I refer to her this statement. Only contradictory states or things or facts can carry information. Okay, so when the boatman comes, he or she sees that it's on or off. Okay, that's clear enough. But say that I put a scarf on it or cover it in some way, then we perhaps have a third state. Is it on or is it off? It depends on the boatman as observer. He might still be able to see the light. So my point is that what is a contradiction? And I would like to refer to the Derridean trace. There is always a trace in one thing. I would say that the categories are not neat. So therefore I would like to question this statement. Only contradiction states can information, because what is a contradiction? There is really no sharp lines. Everything goes in another state. That's my point. Hans, perhaps you can counter my
Yes, I will try, dear audience. This concept or understanding is new to me, and as Chiara writes in the introduction, it's a training thing. But the line between the opposing sides is always blurred. It's never sharp. For would it to be sharp, it would have to be something outside a sort of a rule that told you sharpness is there, and there will never be such a rule for what is contradictory. Actually, contradictions can be what we normally call the same. And this is a part of understanding that is called universalism, seeing things from outside. We earlier mentioned a few of those. Time as being outside, an outside clock, and also movement being defined by an outside take on reality. I think you do make a good point there, Kalle. There is no sharp lines between contradictions, and there will never be a lexical figure that tells you what a contradiction is. And also, we can never absolutely say that light off and light on in all cases are contradictory. So information have more of a process depending, I would say, my take on that is of the thrust of the movement. And one of the things that bothers me with understanding this, because I also have my bugs, is that I always try to make it monosemic, static. Say contradiction is this and that is not a contradiction. So very good point, Kalle. I think that is educatively very, very good and helpful in the understanding. Put a pause there. So we continue where I left off. Property 1 is that it can be set to one of at least two states. For example, if it has two possible states, let's call them 0 and 1. Generalizing on and off, these two states can be changed from one into another like this. One becoming 0 and 0 becoming 1. This notation specifies the following transformation or task. If given 1, turn it into 0. If given 0, turn it into 1. A machine can perform this task if it can indeed obey both these requests. I should call this transformation a flip, a special case of a permutation. But if you are familiar with computer science, you will know that in the jargon of that field, it is called a not operation. The name could not be more appropriate. The operation describes exactly the behavior of someone with a contrarian personality. If you say yes, they will always flip your statement to its negation and say no, and vice versa. Likewise, this operation flips the state of a system to 0 if it is in 1, and to 1 if it is in 0. We've already seen the flip operation appear in several places in that view from the Sentosa Bridge. It is in the lighthouse whose lamp flips in its on-off pattern. It is in the signaling lights from the boats, which also operate like switches. It is realized to a high degree of accuracy in any computer when a transistor switches on and off. It is even realized to a lower degree of accuracy in our brain when a neuron fires and then becomes quiet again. And as we have seen from the lamp example, it is the contrafactual property that is necessary to send the most elementary signal, a binary one. Property 2, required for some system to contain information, is that its states can be received and distinguished in some other location. E.g. by the boat's communication system. This property is trickier to express. Still, it can be elegantly and fully captured by contrafactuals. It is the possibility of performing a copy-like operation. Remember that I already mentioned replication in chapter 1. Which is a special case of copying. To see what copying is, we can dramatize the communication between the bridge and the boat by adding further layers of communication. Imagine that it is a foggy night and that even the strongest lamp can be seen at no more than 500 meters from the bridge. But the requirement is that it can be seen by boats that are 1 kilometer from the bridge. Along a particular straight path joining the bridge and the entrance of the harbour. One way to deal with this problem is for another boat to anchor at about 500 meters from the bridge along that path. If that boat has another lamp, which can in turn be seen from other boats approaching, it can signal to them by setting its lamp to on or off. In coordination with the lamp on the bridge. The communication is successful if, whenever the on state appears on the bridge, the boat sets its lamp to on too. And if, whenever the state of the lamp is off on the bridge, the lamp on the boat is also set to off. This process amounts to copying faithfully the state of the lamp on the bridge onto the lamp on the boat. The state of the lamp on the bridge is perfectly reproduced by the lamp on the boat. While preserving the former's original value too. It can be expressed like this: 10 gives 11, 00 gives 0. I am using the first digit in the first position on the left to specify the state, 0 or 1, of the system holding information to be transmitted, e.g. the lamp on the bridge. And the digit occupying the second position on the left to specify the state 0 of the system that has to receive the information, the lamp on the boat. The overall expression with arrows specifies a transformation. If given 10, produce 11 in output. If given 00, leave it alone. that transformation is a copy, because after performing it, the second system, whose state is represented by the digit on the right, contains the value 0 or 1 that the first system held before performing the copy, while the first system is unchanged. In our Sentosa landscape, the lighthouse is capable of undergoing copy-like operations because its signal can be copied into the lamp sitting on a boat and then transmitted to another boat, and so on. The copy operation is also central in other systems that can contain information. A DNA molecule, as mentioned earlier, is copyable in exactly this sense. The genes can be faithfully replicated into a new DNA molecule when replication occurs. The printing of newspapers from the pattern of movable type produced in the press office is a copy operation. The phenomenon by which the news gets into our brains is yet another. From the page of the newspaper to our memory. Similarly, all the signals appearing in the panorama from the Sentosa Bridge have the property that they can be copied into our brains when we contemplate the view. My recollection and description of the view is a sort of copy of it. That recollection is possible because the landscape contains information itself. It contains signals which can flip and that can be copied in my brain and later retrieved. The copy operation is also essential for the inner workings of a computer. Whenever the output of a computation is ready, it must be possible to copy it onto some other medium. For example, another portion of memory, where it can be processed further. So let's see where I am at. So one can clearly see here how an information processing system gets built up from the bottom, so to speak, and going up. And the necessary trait of contrafactuality. Only opposing sides can have clear understanding possibilities. And I'd say that flashes in that is directly into the face of the idea that clarity and non-contradictory thinking can lead to progress, understanding. Chiara Marletto clearly shows that to be a mistake of existence as such, of reality and of knowledge. One singular positive without a contradiction would be like a lamp that is constantly lit or constantly turned off. It would not carry anything at all, being non-informative. It's rather scary that this idea of one view, exclusiveness, could bring understanding so venomously haunts our educational system. The salvation comes from physics, from science itself and shows that the contradictory nature of reality goes through all layers, all levels, all parts of world or understanding, and it doesn't care about any impossible borders between observer and observed. That has now ceased to make any sense whatsoever. I say thank you very much, Chiara Marletto, for this time. I will continue in the next episode. And thank you, you viewers, for your patience. Have a very pleasant afternoon. Bye-bye. Got a little sunlight even.